all good. Happy Wednesday. Wednesday? Yeah, it's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I hope we're all right. There's a few things just to have a quick look through. Honestly, this will probably only take 15 to 20 minutes because there's not loads to run through. In all honesty, there's just a few little things that we do need to be pretty mindful of. For the most part, though, obviously we've got Euro PMI data out this morning. Unless that's massively different, that shouldn't really cause too many issues. So with regards to that, we shouldn't see too many problems. The real bit will come later this afternoon when we have the beginning of the non-farm employment and payrolls that come from the US. So around lunchtime today, expect some volatility. With regards to actually technical factors though, and technical charts, we have some interesting developments, shall we call them. First thing this morning. So as we can see, we've had the Euro open at 8 o'clock. And we have seen massive strength come into the US dollar over the last kind of half an hour or so. Euro USD has actually just triggered my pending order that I had set at 119.90. So we are now firmly below this 120 level. If we can stay and close below this 119.80 region at some point this morning, then I would very much anticipate that that should be the catalyst for that eventual drive down to 118.80 that we have been searching for quite a long time. Obviously, yesterday we saw some pretty sharp dollar movement that came in yesterday afternoon. That come as a result of a lot of media talks about possible rate hikes to make sure that inflation doesn't get too far ahead of itself. So in that sense, obviously, we saw quite a lot of strength come into the dollar. That was grounded pretty quickly, though. Shows that nobody got too far ahead of themselves. But as we look through to today, if the fact that they are possibly even talking about it is coming out in the media, and that's come from people within the Fed committee, then like I say, we can read some positivity from that and possible strength coming into the US dollar, which, let's be honest, over the last 3 weeks, I would hazard a guess at 3 weeks if memory serves. Yeah, 3 weeks, it took an absolute pounding. So in that time, obviously, what we've then been able to see and what we've then witnessed is a sell-off on Friday. That is where last week's candle came from. And we are very much looking to ride that wave in the continuation now. So to break back below 120 and back inside of these previous highs would definitely give us that run into 1880. And then obviously from there, potentially, we can also look at a push even lower than that. The failure to break the highs here and a drive into anywhere below 1880 could actually see us ending up somewhere around about 116. And then obviously we start to look at the macro picture, understanding that we could potentially see that head and shoulders formation. We may see a break below 116, which could drive us back towards 110. Probably an unlikely scenario, if I'm honest, but it's certainly a plausible option in the grand scheme of things looking forward. A lot just hinges on us getting below this 119.80 level now, and if we can get below that and close and stay below, then obviously that's going to be a massive bonus for us. It doesn't, however, bode too well when we look through other currency pairs, just because the euro doesn't seem particularly weak at the moment. So just relying on US strength, we have seen time and time again that can actually not work too well for us. So we don't particularly want to just be relying on that US dollar strength to see us through. It might be that we look elsewhere and try and gauge if we have the potential for the euro to weaken off also. Pound dollar, seen that push up into the region of kind of 39.20, which is similar to what we saw yesterday. Not yesterday, on Monday, sorry. The bank holidays throw me off with my days. We've seen quite a sharp, obviously almost engulfing formation. A break now back below 38.80 would probably be enough to want to get involved in a potential short position and look to ride that through the 38.60 level and down to 38.20. If that was to be the case, we may also see pushes back up above 139.20, so do be very, very mindful of it. I am skeptical when the US dollar just gains random strength at the moment. There is nothing to have said that it should happen. There is no real technical factors behind it. There's no real fundamental factors that I've seen so far this morning, although I haven't gone too far into any fundamental analysis just yet, that warrant as to why we've seen a surge of strength come in on the European Open. We just have to see what 10 o'clock brings once we've settled from the Euro and London Opens. But if we can get below the 80 level, that would be big for the pair. We could also see that pushed back below 38.60 if you wanted to wait for the higher probability. We can wait for that 38.60 level to go, even just place a pending order at that level to be triggered as and when we fall through it. Looking for that push back to the downside. I'm probably fairly confident that we don't get below 38.20 today. So I wouldn't overly worry too much if we start to head down towards those levels. If anything, I think we'd be hard pushed to break out of this range either side at the moment. So we'll see what happens though. I like to be proved wrong, and I would love to see some dollar strength come in, as that would definitely help my potential earnings for the month. So we'll see how we go, see how we fare as we move throughout the day. Euro Swiss, like I said, the euro doesn't seem particularly weak this morning. If anything, we've started to see it strengthen up. We've had some minorly positive data with the PMI this morning, although it's very low impact. It's still positive strides, especially at the moment, obviously, where we're looking for any kind of indication that a country's economy might be set to rebound or respond to the hammering it's taken throughout this coronavirus situation. So, as things stand at the moment, not really interested in anything towards the long side of things until we were to break out of 110.50. It just doesn't make any sense. If we were to break 110.20, there does bode the possibility for having potential longs up to that 50 level. That's up to you in your personal risk management. For me personally, there isn't enough on the table to warrant wanting to take that position. However, all the time that we are still below 110, it seems completely illogical to be looking elsewhere at the moment. We're probably more than likely just to sit in consolidation between 75 and the whole number before obviously we see the next leg of this pair. There's nothing to suggest where this goes, up, down, left, right. There is no real directional bias. We're just kind of sat in it. For those of us that are in it, we've been triggered in from last week and might as well continue to ride it out for all the time that we are in profit. Although we can obviously move our stop losses to break even if we wanted to, just to take any potential risk off the table. But regarding potential moves, there's not really a huge amount there. Euro CAD, obviously we've seen the CAD strengthen up. We've broken back through that 148 region, which is obviously a big thing for the pair. always good. We did come back, see the retest, and we saw that breakthrough yesterday. Admittedly, I missed it, so we're currently running about 30 pips up if you did catch it. I would, however, not get my hopes up too much. I would very much expect some form of a push back into the 80 region at some point before seeing the potential next leg. But the positive side of it is that we've now broken previous lows. So a drive back up into that 80 region and a push back below would definitely give us the potential to come and continue this down. It's not going to show the next level. There it is. Down to 146. And then from 140, if we can go across, you can see like the 146 resistance just about. We have a resistance region through at 146, and then obviously we can push into 145 thereafter. So there's still plenty on the table for those that aren't involved and are looking for potential entries like myself. A pullback into 47.80 would be nice and give us a potential push away. Or we just wait for previous lows to be taken out, probably as low as 47.20. Could probably get involved at 147.20 and look for a potential drive away there. So there are still potential trades available on EuroCAD to take advantage as we continue that push to the downside. It's just a case that we need to be a little bit patient now unless you are able to catch it from the 80 level. I think this presents a better opportunity though than the Euro-Swiss pair. New Zealand dollar, I'm no longer in it, so we need to get rid of that. Breaks back below 71.50. That's clear as day, isn't it? Breaks below that level would lead to our short positions. The fact is, though, we are rejecting away. New high, new low, rejecting from previous highs. We would definitely expect then a potential drive into 71.80. Rejection away from that level, I would look to short it. Just want to see what... Oh, sorry. Whoa. What is going on? Just want to see what the potential is regarding a potential lower high. Broken through, we've seen rejection away. So breaks above 71.80 would definitely, you would expect to see these highs taken out. And potentially as high as 71.80, I'm not ruling that out. We could come and see that level found. I don't necessarily think it will though. I don't think it makes much sense for the pair to come that high unless it wants to break to the, unless it's going to break to the upside. Given the fact that we've seen relatively strong US talks, I would have anticipated the strength coming into that. Either way, below 71.40 gives us that potential short to the downside anyway. And then obviously regarding potential longs, I would look to long it above 72, I think. I don't think I'd want to go from the 80 level. But above 72, I would potentially look to long it. That would certainly give us an option. It would also say with pound, you would also expect to see pound dollar break through 39 if that was the case. I would very much anticipate Euro USD coming back to 120.10 as well at some point to this morning. So we see it's difficult to read when we have these first initial moves as a result of the session opens. I think I'm about to be taken out of this position. When I checked just before I come on, at like 8 o'clock, I was chilling about 20 pips down. I was triggered into an order from 65.20 yesterday. And we saw pushes almost immediately to the downside, which was lovely. Pullback, which was fine. Then we broke back through overnight. I unfortunately got an early night, and this now looks as if it's pretty much setting up for a possible break back to the upside. If we were gonna reject, where would we reject from? There. But you wouldn't want to break the previous highs. Would you want to push towards those highs? Not really. I don't think... I mean, I know that my stop loss is 60 level. So dropping 40 pips on this pair is never really the ideal scenario, especially when we were 20 odd pips up to begin with. We're so close, I'm going to personally hold my trade now and just see it through. If it triggers, it triggers. But away from anything above above 65.70, you have to consider that the long is probably the more likely scenario. That also plays into that potential Euro Swiss as well that we were looking at. Maybe it's the Swiss franc that is weakened off this morning. And we are seeing those pushes come into play. I want to go back to Euro CAD because that's the chart that I want to look at. Just wanted to see what the other Swiss pair we were looking at was doing. I still do quite fancy New Zealand to weaken off a little bit. I know that we saw fundamentals for the New Zealand dollar overnight. Like late yesterday. I say overnight, but it was like 11 o'clock yesterday, wasn't it? That we saw it. So, but I was fairly confident that they were pretty positive. So, yeah. We shall see. We will just have to see how that fares. There's nothing surrounding either of those currencies for the rest of today, so we're probably likely to see the technical aspects of play in. Looking into the probabilities, I would have definitely said that the short 40 still remains, so we'll see how on it for the time being. Aussie dollar breaks back below the whole number. Again, was triggered in yesterday. It came out, took the 25 pips that were on offer. Breaks back below the whole number today, though, would definitely again lead into the same situation. We are once again seeing the fact that we are rejecting away from a key and significant level. So we cannot rule out the fact of seeing these highs taken out again. It certainly wouldn't be ideal, but we could have just seen a shift in momentum with the Euro and London Opens coming into play. I thought this was going to be a really straightforward morning, but in actual fact, when we're starting to look through things, it looks as if it's going to be anything but. Long above that. If Aussie dollar breaks above 77.30, I'd be quite content to long it. I know we have a region at the 77.55, 77.50 level, but I would very much expect to just break through that with very little ease. I don't think that would present us with any real problems at all. I would expect to blast straight through that. However, popping below the whole number again, I would definitely anticipate that we see a push into the downside. I think this is going to be a case that we're going to wait a lot of the day and then see the US dollar just strengthen up out of nowhere. I think we're just going to accumulate orders for quite a lot of the day today. Dollar CAD. I mean, you would definitely look for that push to the downside, really. Looking on current price action, breaks back below 22.80. I think we're just consolidating. I'm not really content to take anything regarding this pair, actually. We're just consolidating, not really doing anything. That doesn't really play into any narrative. Pound New Zealand, that was a pair that I was actually looking at last night. I'm pretty sure we've rejected away from quite a significant area. So we're seeing the New Zealand strengthen up. Could definitely see weakness coming to the pound this morning. Shorts below 93.70. Back down to 92.70 make a lot of sense. Rejecting a massive level at that 40 region. I didn't realise we drove quite as high as 94.80 yesterday. I would definitely look to short that below 93.70 for sure. What's pound odds saying? The pound might be the best place to look, to be fair, for potential shorts today. Nah, not until 79.80 at the best. At best. Not interested in that, in all honesty. But it does make you think about the potential long part dollar. New Zealand Swiss, I'm 100% sure I've just been stopped out on. But so be it. Euro Swiss almost back at entry too. That's not a great situation to be in, is it? We'll see where we play. There's really not a lot to go on though. For Euro USD, if you've been triggered in, then fair play. If not, then you can look for a potential retest of 2010 before shorting if there's signs of confirmation. If not, you want to wait until the 90 levels taken out, and you can look to short from there. If you're not in it, it's now a waiting game now, I'm afraid. Pound Oz, Pound New Zealand, Pound Dollar. They do present possible, nothing, in all honesty. Euro Swiss, I hate the look of in every I am involved in it. So I kind of just need to ride it a little bit. Probably look to just cut my losses, take the 15 pips out of this and take the 40 pip loss that I took on New Zealand Swiss. And then so be it, to be honest. Euro CAD, we can definitely look to short below the lows. Probably look to get involved around about 47.20 once we take this region out, and I'll just look for a continuation of that unless we see a push back to 47.80. New Zealand Swiss, that can swing, that can just jump off a bridge as far as I'm concerned this morning. I'm not interested in that. New Zealand dollar probably likely to break back above the highs, longs above 72. Aussie dollar, you can probably long it above 73.30, 77.30 even, or you wait until the 50 level goes for the higher probability. Either way, longs look the best option there, unless the US dollar just strengthens up out of nowhere, which we all know it is prone to do. Dollar CAD, short at the bottom of the consolidation makes sense. 22.60 you could probably place an order at. That makes sense to see the continuation and follow through, but you've still got this zone at 50 to be mindful of, so just be cautious of that. However, the momentum carry through 22.60 will probably be quite big, and we're highly probable then to break through this region, see a continuation push into 121. So definitely be mindful of that. What is gold saying? I mean, I haven't really actually traded gold for quite a few weeks now. No man's land. absolute nothing. Don't want to be involved in anything surrounding that. Could potentially short below 75. You could also potentially long it above 80. Either of those, but they don't present higher probability trades at all. It's going to be a long day, I think. We've seen some pretty big moves already Monday, Tuesday, so today could just be a day of sitting on our hands, letting things play out and trying to see some potential direction come into the market. If not, it's certainly not worth our time to rush things whatsoever. Probably just going to sit on our hands and let things go, do their thing. I hope